All right, David, a couple ticket texts. We'll get to the remaining Lions calls, get you a free agency wraparound. I do want to ask about the Wings. I mean, Kenny, if you don't want to get to it today, we won't. Is it unfair to call tonight's game a must-win? It's got to stop.
Not just tonight, but we have this game. We have Buffalo again. I believe we have Arizona and Pittsburgh, who all just sold. Yeah, I would classify 4 out of those 5 games as must-wins. You have to come out of the next 5 with 4 wins.
See,
you just have to.
I thought Arizona or Vegas was a must-win.
They were. It's like all the vibes of the 5-game win streak and storming to a 9-point lead between you and Jersey. That's all gone. You pick up the paper, and I know the Islanders lost last night, so based on that, the Wings bump back in. But, there's no margin. The car flag discussion of 4 or 5 car flags is out because right now I think you're about a coin flip proposition to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, most models by the analytics folk have it either right at 51% or right at 49%.
Yeah, and unfortunately, again, here we go. I'm sorry, but missing the playoffs, it's unacceptable. The Iser plan would be off course if you miss the playoff. I just can't wrap my mind around people who are like, no, it's going just the way it should. And Kenny Holland said it would take 10 years. And I'm going, wait, that's the standard? I hired Steve Yzerman to take 10 years. Dude, it's year 5.
Also, that's a ridiculous thing to claim because you signed stars, right, to fit into this 4 or 5 year window. You signed Larkin in that window. If you wait 10 years, all those guys are washed and you're pushing in the next it doesn't work like that.
I agree. And you know what's interesting, Kenny, and everybody involved here, it's more, I can understand the Wings not doing hyper-aggressive stuff because the Wings weren't in the equivalent of the NFC title game last year. The Wings weren't in the playoffs. The Wings haven't made the playoffs. Now, if the Wings make it, and let's say they're competitive in that first round, I view it, they're built on really solid ground. And now I'm going to be asking the same thing out of them that I'm asking out of the Lions.
Start making the moves.
Right. So my question to Lions fans, because I think I know the question in this room, I didn't want Christian Wilkins because I felt like he was a very good player who was going to be paid like a great one. I told Stoney that. It ended up playing that way. Yippee skippy. I was right about something. Who cares?
But see, here's the thing
the
about
point is,
that.
I'd still take him. I'd still be happier with Christian Wilkins than I am Carlton Davis, Davenport, and random nickel corner from Raiders who ended up a starter at the end of the year. My guy was Snead. You don't want Snead, fine. Let me focus on one name because it's a name we never discussed because you never knew the true availability. But when the Brian Burns deal went down last night, I know I was terrified. I was driving home and hey, you got Brian Burns. And I'm like, great, what's the cost? I was worried the Giants had just traded the number 6 overall pick. When I found out the Giants gave up a 2 and next year's 5. Oh, well, what about the money? What about the money? Brian Burns is elite. He's fantastic. Well, he didn't have a great year last year. You're right. That team was dumpster fire. And believe it or not, most teams just pounded the rock on that team because, well, that team was always losing. I think Burns is a really good football player. So I look at it and I'm like, this is how my mind works. How do I sell the listeners? Little did I know I wouldn't have to. How do I sell the listeners on Carlton Davis and Marcus Davenport when Brian Burns was just given away to the New York Giants? Then I come into work today. I hear the morning show drooling all over each other about Carlton Davis. The midday show, forget it. We just signed Rod Woodson.
Oh, yeah. Well, they didn't win Monday, but it's okay.
And it's like, guys, I like the player, but I can't possibly lie to you and be like, I'm as excited about this as I would be if the Lions had traded second-round pick and a 5 next year. If the Lions traded pick 29, just that, and brought Brian Burns in, 150 mil, 100 guaranteed, I'm investing in Aiden Hutchinson, and now I got the best duo in the league. See, I could sell the listener on that. Mm-hmm. And I could say with a straight face, you just got significantly better. That's where when people think somehow like I'm impatient, I'm not. I understand that the Wings can't do what I'm asking the Lions to do right now.
Right.
Don't hit me with that with the Pistons or the Tigers. You know, not you, I'm saying the listeners. You should be more upset at those two teams.
Yeah, their signings were underwhelming. Now, can those gentlemen go out and do something? Yes, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be Brad Holmes, and they're writing the stuff down that we're saying to say, see, I told you so. You got to trust in Brad. But
told you so what? Saying he's a good player? Who says they don't want Carlton Davis?
You said he was going to be a bum. And
I didn't say that.
It's what people hear.
Well, don't put it into the universe. I didn't say it.
I don't need to put it in the universe. It's already there.
I didn't say it.
Have you heard some of these calls?
Bell.
I just think that it could have been better. I think you could have gone after a higher caliber of player to really try to make yourself significantly better. Because I'm going to keep saying this, your window is there. It's not next year. It's not 2 years from now. It's right now.
That's the question.
Here's the other thing. You're going to overpay for players. You saw that. All the guards got paid a ton of money. But you also have to remember the cap went up. So there was extra money to play around with.
Cap went up $31 million.
So you could overpay from people and still be okay.
And the projections are the cap will rise $70 million between now and 2027. That puts the salary cap at north of $300 million. Easily. Yes, will it increase players' salary? Of course. And I think
so I don't freak out. It's like, oh, I can't believe they paid this guy this much money. Well, they had extra money to spend, so
no. And I look, identifying someone's workflow and how they do things is different than agreeing with it. No one is saying that we don't understand what Brad Holmes operates under. I don't think he wants to sign free agents to long-term deals. I don't think he wants to pay big money. I think he has this vision in his mind of homegrown, develop, draft, resign. Okay, that's all well and good. All I know is how the teams that get to the Super Bowl and win it, they don't play that way. Yes, drafting has to be the centerpiece of your organization, but you go out and you make the bold move to put yourself over the top. Now, Lions fans have done something weird today. Several, not all, several have called in saying, well, it's not our Super Bowl window yet. See, you're on Planet Nebular. I don't know what you're talking about. What are we developing for? You were in San Francisco with the lead. Your window is now. It's really about the next 2 years, and anything beyond that's a bonus. You get about a 2 to 3 year window to do it. Now, the Chiefs are run like an elite organization. You know, the Niners have stretched their window. Have they won it yet? No. They've gotten there twice. They should have won one of them. Maybe both. They should have won one.
Should have won this year.
But then look at how the Niners operate to get back. And by the way, John Lynch, who's got way more credibility in the NFL than Brad Holmes, John Lynch gets criticized all the time. They're both excellent at their job. But when you start putting executives on pedestals that we can't talk honestly about sports,
hey, John,
I don't know what we're doing here.
You want to explain Trey Lance, please?
So that's kind of where we're at. And again, the Brian Burns thing, believe me, my team stinks. I'm not making it out like the Giants have it all figured out. The Giants are a bad organization. But the Brian Burns thing is a no-brainer to me. You win with the tip of the sword. I wanted to add someone that was impactful up front if I couldn't get Snead. The fact that Burns was given away for a second and a 5 next year, the money's the money. You just figure it out. So tell me I'm wrong for wanting Brian Burns and Aiden Hutchinson to grow old together. Man, give me a couple of rocking chairs and a porch. Because that would be, Rico, what would be a better duo in the entire NFC?
I can't really think of one. Here's why that would be so good. Because you wouldn't have to blitz as much. You can drop back 7 and really, flood it so that a quarterback can't just pick on Cam Sutton or pick on a corner, because now there's 7 people back there. You could pass people off to different ones. If you can get to the quarterback rushing 4, Mike, that's a luxury not every team has.
And make no mistake, Rico, I like the aggression. The Kansas City Chiefs are as aggressive as anybody. They won the Super Bowl. But I'm with you.
When you can pinpoint the aggression and just say, you know what, we're going to dial it up for the next 5 plays, not we're going to dial it up for the next 50 plays.
And Brian Burns is what, 25, 26? It struck me that right after I got off the air with Stoney, the Lions made these moves, and I'm like, okay, That's fine. The Davenport thing's whatever to me. I mean, the guy's a draft bust, and he's always hurt. But Davis, fine enough. That was my reaction. I wasn't angry. I'm not angry today, but I'm not elated. Then the Giants stuff trickles in, and I'm going, wait a minute. How were we not a part of that? Because I'll tell you, James Houston's a nice football player, but I'd much rather have him as a rotational pass rusher than the guy I need 60 snaps from a week. You have Burns and Aiden Hutchinson.
Or maybe they overvalue what Houston really is, and they think that he's better.
It wouldn't surprise me because they clearly love their own.
They do. And in their world, well, why should we go off and get him? We got Houston, and when he's healthy, he could do the same things.
Because I just view Brian Burns as that difference maker. And I put him in a winning culture. I get him out of that pit of Carolina. I put him in my locker room playing for a guy like Dan Campbell. I think Brian Burns would be an all-pro here. Now, that's projection. Guilty. But when you want to know why Rico and I don't have pom-poms out, it's because, I mean, whether it was Wilkins, it's an overpay. I don't argue it, but you didn't have to give up anything. Or whether it's Burns. Come on. John Jansen, wait.